Welcome back to the Red Dice Diaries, and this is my 21st RPG a Day 2015 video talking about my favourite RPG setting. And it's the setting for this book. I don't know if you can see it there without the light reflecting too badly off it, but it's Changeling the Lost, the New World of Darkness Changeling game. Now, part of the reason I like this is because, like all the New World of Darkness games and the Old World of Darkness games, it takes place in a dark reflection of our own world, and this makes it quite easy for people to get into the game. You don't have to absorb lots of lore, since we all know roughly how our world works, so players can really focus on portraying their characters and how they react to the real world with a bit of background knowledge about that, rather than thinking, oh shit, I've got to read 16 chapters of accumulated lore about some strange world and then somehow try and convincingly portray a character in it. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with games with a lot of lore, it's just a lot you have to absorb first, or you have to be more comfortable with improvising things on the fly. Whereas I like Changeling the Lost because, like most New World of Darkness games, it starts off with you creating a base character as a mortal, so an everyday person, which we should all realistically be able to do. And then you create this supernatural template, if you will, that's laid over the top of it. Now, in Changeling the Lost, you play people who have been kidnapped from their normal lives, their everyday lives, and taken through this strange borderland dimension called the Hedge by the true Fae into Arcadia, a land of fairy magic that exists beyond the Hedge and is some distance from our real world. However, this is not the Disney-fied fairy happy-dappy land that you might see in the cartoons. No, this is a cruel and capricious land where survival or destruction relies solely on the whims of inhuman and fickle masters. The Fae kidnap people for a variety of different reasons. They may simply need someone to carry a light for them when they go on hunts. However, just as likely they wish to twist someone into a hunting hound to make them into a beast to drive them at the head of their hunt. Or they could even kidnap someone they think is particularly beautiful to serve as a dresser's mannequin. Whatever the reason is, the longer a person remains in Arcadia, the more the innate magic of their surroundings seeps into them and slowly starts to alter them based on what their role is in Arcadian society. So, for instance, if a person has been kidnapped to be a hunting hound, over time they will find themselves becoming bestial, becoming more beast-like, becoming more like the hound. They may sprout shaggy fur, long talons. The dressmaker's mannequin may find themselves becoming increasingly artificial. They may lose their sensitivity to pain, so they do not feel the needle pricks from the tailor as they sew clothes onto them. All manner of wonderful and horrific things. Most people taken to Arcadia over time forget their mortal lives, and then they are truly trapped within Arcadia itself. However, the player characters are assumed to be those who either have some compelling reason or some kernel of strong self-remembrance that allows them to recall their mortal lives, and eventually they manage to escape back through the Hedge into the mortal world, possibly finding out that years have passed since they were actually kidnapped, since time is fluid in Arcadia and doesn't flow at the same time as in the mortal world, or even finding that although for them it seems as though they've been gone for 50 years, that only a few scant moments has passed in the mortal world. People may not even realise that they have actually been kidnapped, since the Fae may have left an artificial duplicate, a fetch as they're called, to take the place of the mortal that they stole, woven together from artificial matter and enchanted with a small piece of the kidnapped victim's soul or shadow to disguise them and make them seem convincing to the rest of humanity. The true horror of the setting is returning to a mortal world and finding that it has moved on without you and may not have even noticed your absence, and that you yourself have been so changed by Arcadia that you are no longer a normal person. You no longer fit in entirely in this mortal world. And much as though you may despise what has happened to you in Arcadia and seek to distance yourself from it, you can never fully integrate yourself back into the human world. You've survived an incredibly traumatic experience, and the only real people you can talk to about it and you can tell about it are other changelings, people who have been through a similar experience. But whilst you're doing that, you're always looking over your shoulder, wondering if you're going to hear the hunting horn of your Fey master, or the tinkling of bells as the sleigh of the White Witch rides out of the hedge, once more seeking to reach out and claim you and pull you back to their world of beautiful madness. I've ran a fair few games of Changeling the Lost, and each of them have been very different. It's a game that focuses very much on how individuals attempt to deal with and process the ordeals that they've been through. Do they try and carve out a new life for themselves, divorced from their old one, or do they try and eliminate their fetch, assuming they have one, and reassume their old lives? It's a story of survival in a world that you're no longer really equipped to deal with, and it can produce a lot of very interesting roleplay, whilst also being rooted in a version of our own world, which makes it easier for the players to relate to. So that's one of my favourite RPG settings. It's Changeling the Lost for the New World of Darkness. I hope you've enjoyed this video. You consider clicking on the red dice up there to subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you in the next RPG a Day video. Take care. If you're interested in seeing a Changeling the Lost session, I ran one online and you can find a link to it here. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll catch you soon. Session. I have a motley assortment of players, which you can see in the windows down below, all of whom will be portraying the victims of Arcadian kidnap, who, thanks to their link with the mortal world and the memories of their humanity, have managed to escape back through the thorny hedge, heedless of the injury done to them physically, or of the memories that were snatched away from them as the thorns of the dividing line between Arcadia and the mortal world tore at their minds as well as their bodies.